Elmonster's Journal, Day 8. Returning to the Five Flagons Inn, I rest and then deliver the portal gem safely. The actors there are happy to see their lost friend and gem returned. They open a portal gate, and several nasties emerge. Then a bounty hunter who steals them away, and kills the remaining nasties, which I am glad of. I follow them into the portal, and a very, very difficult battle ensues with the mercenaries there. I don't know whether I can do it. I am at a low point. Finally, I see that the halfling member of the group is a very fast runner compared to the rest. I cast every defensive spell I can before going through the portal. Stone Skin, Protection from Evil, Blur, and Improved Invisibility. So Stone Skin, Protection from Evil, Blur, and Improved Invisibility. When I arrive, I immediately cast every summoning spell I can. That's every summoning spell. Then Horror, and concentrate on the halfling, while the rest of the mercenaries who aren't horrified pick on the summoned creatures. My protections are quickly gone, but they have saved me. As soon as the halfling falls, I look through his possessions. He has boots of speed. I wear them immediately. This is a major tactical improvement for me, as now I can run away from any of my enemies, and then run back to always have the first attack or cast defensive spells while far away from them. I unload every offensive spell in my inventory to kill the remaining mercenaries with ranged weapons, leaving only an elf with a two-handed sword, a Yuan-Ti mage, and an invisible stalker it has summoned. The elf goes down with plain sling bullets. I have to wait for the mage's protection from normal missiles to wear off while avoiding the stalker. Eventually it does, and the Yuan-Ti is history. I have to kill the stalker with my quarterstaff and take a little damage for my trouble. It doesn't seem to want to unsummon as it should. Now notice in this journal he has the boots of speed. So now he can avoid quickly, and this boots of speed will figure prominently into how he gets the staff of the Magi. Alright, continuing on. There are thralls here with magic collars controlling them, but with my new boots of speed, I can draw them out one at a time and always keep my distance if they are using melee weapons. One of the best tactics for plain fighting is to always use the opposite type of weapon that your opponents do. Archers and crossbowmen are very vulnerable to melee attacks, even from wizards. And melee fighters are helpless against ranged opponents if they cannot get close to them. There is a secret storage area by the strange brazier with the first group of thralls. It has a pile of sling bullets in it, just what I needed. Several thralls and a wyvern succumb to the incessant pattering of slung stones. The master of thralls is a Tanari. And yet again, a new most difficult battle record is set for me. He has 2 air elemental companions, and once more my ridiculous +1 quarterstaff shows how stale it is. It can't hit them. There seems to be no way through this. He paralyzes me with his gaze, and anything I summon can't hurt the elementals. He's also somewhat magic resistant. However, many tries later, I beat him. Which, folks, that means he reloaded the game quite a few times. I summon monsters until I get dire wolves, one of the few summons whose attacks are considered magical. One gets a critical hit on him. I run away a bit until I can see the wolves, but not him, and cast Skull Trap, a potent and often overlooked spell, as it gets 1d6 more powerful with every level without hitting the 10d6 limit Fireball has. As I am now 11th level, the Master of Thralls fails his magic resistance save, and it does 11d6 damage on him. He sinks into the ground. I figure this is at least a start. I will probably have to lead the air elementals into an area I won't go into and cast invisibility on myself to trap them there, until I inspect what the Tanari dropped. The Staff of Air +2. I can finally ditch that nearly useless +1 staff. This one will hit air elementals, and they have to save versus spell or be slain with each hit. Hallelujah! They fall quickly. After that, the Warden, the Demon Knight, or Cambion, is not so difficult, because I retrieve the Control Stone from his Master of Thralls. I free them by burning it in the brazier, and they do most of the work of killing him. A Chromatic Orb and Flame Arrow is all it takes to do him in, though a Thrall's Cone of Cold does the final damage. I don't get the experience, but at this point I have completed the quest to free the actors, earned some nice items and some saleable items, and actually survived, which is enough. Remember, this is a solo mage. Day 9. For the first time, I welcome the sight of Athkatla. I sell off collected items that I cannot use, pick up a few spell scrolls lying around, and so forth. I notice that for some reason, I now have 8 6th level spells in my book so far, and only 1 5th level. Something is definitely wrong here, especially as I cannot cast any 6th level spells yet. I now have just enough to pay the ridiculous 20,000 gold pieces that I require in order to find this girl that Elmonster says he cares nothing about. I guess I will have to in order to find out what is going on here, such as the plans of my former captor. I am approached by a young boy who says that the man who made the offer in the first place has improved the deal. Shortly after, I was approached by someone with a better offer. However, I would have had to meet her mistress in the cemetery at night. Not interested. At least I know who I'm dealing with now, so I will meet with him again. I had seen one of the members of this rival guild, and I think I know what they are. One was present in the dungeon that I found myself in, and 2 more were on the street. From their strange dancing movements, dark hair, and light skin, the discharge of energy when they struck their opponents, slaughtering well-armed and armored experienced thieves with their bare hands. They are vampires. They will probably make me one as well if I should take them up on their offer. I meet with Galen Bale, and he has knocked 5,000 gold off his original offer. I now have 6,000 gold to spare after payment, and I certainly need it. I pay the 15,000, and he gives me a key. The contact is the Shadow Master, the leader of the infamous Shadow Thief Guild. I will pay him a visit. Of course, I get distracted for a short while. A mad cleric of Cyric. As neutral as I try to remain in the business of others, I cannot determine the attraction that faith holds. Tell me I had best convert to Cyric's worship immediately. I ask him whether I have to remove my eyes first. A reasonable question given the other zealots I encountered, and he attacks me. Luckily, his old persons bounce off me, while I pulverize him with my nice new staff. Stopping at a local inn called the Sea's Bounty for rest, I find there is a secret door. Behind it are several pirates, including a mage, who are not at all happy to be discovered. I cast Blur to avoid being hit, and then take out the knife throwers and mage first with Horror, Dire Charm, and Monster Summoning. So knife throwers and mage first with Horror, Dire Charm, and Monster Summoning. I get ogres. Very lucky as the opponents wear chainmail. When only melee pirates and their summoned allies are left, it is an easy matter to keep away from them with the Boots of Speed. Very happy to have acquired those. There is a secret treasure trove in a small pond here. Ah, money. I need it. Time for sleep. First, I decide to meet with Aaron Linvale, the Shadow Master. To compensate me for my large cash outlay, he gives me 2 magical items. The first is a +2 Ring of Protection, which can supersede the other one. That's a +2 Ring of Protection. Armor class now -3. The second is far more potent, a unique item called the Amulet of Power. The Amulet of Power. It gives me slight magic resistance, permanent vocalize, so I cannot be silenced, makes my spellcasting faster, and provides permanent negative material plane protection. This confirms unquestionably to me that the rival guild I have heard so much about, and seen a couple of the members of, are vampires. Vampires are attuned to the negative material plane. When they attack, a victim's actual level is drained away. Wizards forget spells. Fighters become less potent by losing skills, and everyone loses stamina. A terrible attack, which can only be cured by a cleric's restoration spell or an expensive restoration scroll, or actually earning the levels back through gaining experience in a battle and adventure. A vampire attacks a shadow thief on the street, charms him, and he turns on me. I go after the vampire instead, however, and discover just how difficult they are to kill. It hits me with almost every strike, and while that deadly level drain does not occur, I am quite damaged. As well, I can't even hit the vampire as fast as it regenerates, and my pathetically low allowed attacks per round. I didn't even know they regenerated. Perhaps it only healed by absorbing my life force when it struck me. I hope. I will find them quite difficult opponents in future, no matter what toys I am given to play with, as I cannot kill the vampire with my staff, nor cast magic in the streets. I lure it into the Copper Coronet Tavern, and cast Disintegrate on it. This does the trick nicely. Day 10. There are human slaves kept as pit-fighting amusements in the Copper Coronet, it seems. While I'm aware that good and evil will always exist, regardless of my desire to further either, I find slavery repugnant and will do something if the opportunity arises. I end up killing the Beastmaster. I am now 12th level, which means that Chromatic Orb has turned into the 7th level necromantic spell Finger of Death. He is down in 2 seconds. Who holds the key to the slaves and his animal menagerie, freeing the slaves and killing the guards who supported the slave owner? They are not difficult at all, and I get a large reward of experience and the gems the owner carried. This is very good. Hendak, the most senior of the slaves, assumes ownership of the premises and advises me there is another slaver location nearby. I have already been to this location and cannot gain entry. I can't force the outer door, and if I cast knock in the streets, a wizard will arrive to tell me I have broken the law. Hendak says that there is another entrance in the sewers. The sewers beneath the copper coronet are different than the others. I encounter a band of hobgoblins. Easy, one fireball kills all but two of them. An area to the east holds an ugly creature called an otyug, or something of that nature, gray and alien, with diamond-shaped hands, flapping about on long arms and an ugly, devouring maw. It slows its enemies with every hit and is immune to piercing damage. Surprisingly, it is very easy to kill. It is so squat and wide that it can't fit through a narrow passage to the south. I lead it to there and am able to hit it with my staff while it can't touch me. Actually, I remember that there was one in the dungeon I found myself in at first, and I killed it the same way through a doorway. But being a little out of touch at the time, I failed to journalize this. There are also 2 mustard jellies to deal with. I despise these ugly slimes, spitting poison, magic immune and only damaged by magical weapons. Their acid missiles slow their target. I cast Stone Skin to avoid this, but even though I take no damage when struck, I am still slowed, which makes me very angry having to stand around waiting for it to wear off, as I am tremendously vulnerable when slowed. A man is down here, Qualo, a clearly insane man, though it sounds, from what he says, as if he is dominated. Another uses him as his voice. He tells me to visit another area and speak with the controller, and thinks I am there for some blade. In this area, he mentioned, are 4 pipes, and each one requires a ward in the correct order. I collect the wards, a hand from the sewers, a staff from some kobolds, a ring from a skeleton hanging on the wall, and the blood of his friend, a carrion crawler. When I place the wards in the correct order into the pipes, I am rewarded with a really nice +3 two-handed sword, which of course I can't use. Great. At least I can sell it. I talk to Qualo again, and he has indeed been dominated. He is freed. His haunting words as he shambles off are, "Gods, how long have I been here? What has happened to my family?" I rest again and dream. My first dream is meaningless. My former captor, the mage, taunts me with my Baal heritage and shows me the power I could have. He tortures the teenage girl a little. Perhaps he is trying to make me care about her. My second dream is far more direct and meaningful to me. A shimmering stone, blue and green like a tiny planet. Can I see Farron amidst its iridescent continents? It is a rogue stone. They are very expensive and rather rare. I need one. I see a house in the Bridge District, but its door is nothingness. The stone is the key. The stone is the key. There is dark and ominous magic there, more than one man could stand in a lifetime. The staff is there. I must have it. I must. I awaken in a cold sweat and am unable to sleep for over an hour. Day 11. I have it. I have it. Were it in my personality to dance and sing in the streets with joy, I would do so. Perhaps the Bards Guild would arrive and threaten me. I have done it. I relate the story of the capture of this nigh unique item of extreme power, the Staff of the Magi. Upon awakening from my dream, I realized I needed a couple of items. I would need something to protect me from all forms of magic, and a rogue stone. I had about 24,000 in gold at the time from quests I had completed. These items would be but a wise investment for my future. In the Adventure Mart, I purchased a scroll called Protection from Magic, which throws up a magic-proof shell that cannot be dispelled or removed in any way. It costs 2,800 gold pieces. I combed the city's shops for a rogue stone and found one for sale at a place called Mayvar's Guildhall in the docks from a portly gent called Gorge. It cost 5,600 gold pieces. I cannot understand how weeks of work by a talented mage can be valued at half the price of a chip of rock. But I will have to live with this inconsistency. I traveled to the Bridge District. I was waylaid on the way by slavers who were probably seeking revenge for my disbursement of their base, but I was able to avoid them simply by running away. I could not lure them into nearby buildings, and have no desire to cast spells in the street and incur the wrath of the cowed ones. I arrived at the house I had seen in my dream, but could not enter there, then ran back. The first door opened easily. I imagined for this reason that it was not the right one. The second one put me into a difficult bind. It was locked, and I could not force it. If I cast knock in the streets, a cowed enforcer would show up. There was simply nothing else for me to do but cast knock and allow that person to make his little magic is illegal speech and then leave. My first and last warning. The flesh to stone trap bounced off of me, and I was free to enter. When I did, the rogue stone disappeared. And I was dimension doored to another place. A place that looked for all purposes like a meeting hall. A huge circular table in the center of the room, marked with a symbol. A symbol. I know this group. They are the Twisted Rune. Oh, I have really put my foot in it this time. Messing with the Twisted Rune is instant death for fake demigods. And here I am, a wimpy mage on his own. I bit down and gained resolve. I will have that staff. When I approached the table, there was a glimmering of light, and a powerful lich by the name of Shangalar appeared. I told him it was an accident that I arrived here. I expected him to disbelieve that, and he fulfilled those expectations. Of course, no organization so cowardly as to hide behind these elaborate mechanisms would fight fairly. He summoned his little twisted runies to assist him. So, all in all, it was wimpy human mage versus a powerful lich, a very high-level female human mage, a beholder. How did he fill in his membership card? A vampire and a human thief. No problem. As soon as I saw her, I knew she was the one with the staff. Now that I knew the employee roster, I was able to beat them. Here is what I did. Equipping the wand of Cloudkill I had found, I had two, one with 6 charges and one with 1, and the scroll. When first arriving, I ran to the left of the table before Shangalar showed up and fired Cloudkill midway. As soon as the gas bubble left the wand, I read the Protection from Magic scroll. Shangalar made his speech, then gated his friends in. When they arrived, the mage and beholder were standing in the poison gas, and the scroll took effect right afterwards. Shangalar, the beholder, and the mage were now basically powerless against me, and the mage and beholder started to be injured by the poison. I ran through it to lead them to further damage, staying well away from the vampire and thief. The mage, Shangalar, and the beholder flung spells at me, but they were useless. Many of the mage's spells failed as she was taking poison damage. She did manage to gate in a pit fiend. I immediately ran away from her, and she was forced to fight her own summon. The vampire fought it as well. The beholder, the thief, and her were now badly injured from the poison gas. However, something was getting through my protection from magic and killing me randomly. It could not have been running through the gas, as being 12th level, I have 10 hit dice, and therefore cannot fail a cloud kill save versus death and die instantly. One of the times I saw a strange spell with a blue display and a twirling blue rune. Could this have been it? Could be symbol, death. I will have to look into this. By the way, that tells you if he got killed randomly, that he had to reload several times before succeeding this. As hellish as the quest to rescue the Boots of Speed, Erdalis was, they again saved me by allowing me to keep my distance when required and lead the enemies through the deadly gas. The cloud kill ran out, so I hit them with another one. Wands can be used with a protection from magic active. It just prevents cast spells from working. The beholder dropped, leaving 4 enemies, and then the mage. Immediately I picked the staff of the Magi from her fresh corpse, identified it from lore alone, and equipped it, and its powers became mine. To all remaining enemies I was invisible. They stood around wondering where I had gone. Shangalar cast True Sight, but with the cloak of non-detection I was still invisible. If it had worked, I would have just re-equipped the staff again and disappeared. The thief was nearly dead. I pounded him one step further. Now only the lich and vampire remained. I crushed Shangalar to dead bones, re-equipping the staff with each strike, and suffered not a scratch. His corpse yielded over 2,800 gold pieces, 2,800, and I gained 50,000 experience points from his centuries-belated demise. 50,000 experience. Only the vampire remained. The beholder's eye had fallen off when it died. This turned out to be the key out of the place. Knowing of the vampire's regenerative powers, not being able to cast Disintegrate through the magical shield, and satisfied that I had done everything I had set out to do and more, I departed, leaving Mr. Bloodsucker to wonder how a single, fragile human could have caused all this damage. After wiping out a major organization of darkest intent, single-handedly, and obtaining an item worthy of my close namesake, I think I need and deserve a rest. I have a lot of quests I can finish now. Of course, I have to go and investigate just what the second trap door leads to. Turns out there is a sarcophagus in the basement in an elaborate tomb, guarded by an elemental lich. However, I don't take a scratch killing him. One whack with staff, and he is mad. And he makes the fatal mistake of casting Gate. Reusing my technique of the battle that obtained the staff, I simply run away, and it's Pit Fiend vs. Lich in the Duel of the Century. Pit Fiend is highly magic resistant and emerges victorious, then promptly unsummons himself. Inside the sarcophagus, I find a torso of golden bones. I seem to remember these. Something from deep Arcania I heard in classes as a young acolyte. I should have been paying more attention to the lectures instead of the elven girl who practiced her minor divinations and enchantments in a gauzy robe. I am sure the meaning of these gleaming remains will become all too clear soon.